tender, hot and spicy, with a steamy look. It was passed on down by my mother, sweet. She told me, honey, this will be a real good treat, to turn a man's heart into a buttercream. Well, you cook a dish that makes him want jump and scream. So come into my kitchen,
Come into my kitchen.
come on down to my kitchen.
Come on down to my kitchen.
I said, come into my kitchen.
Come into my kitchen.
Come on down to my kitchen.
Come on down.
Okay, another Down East, Far East creation we've come up with here. So here in Maine, I think it was 1902, Giovanni Amato started making sandwiches in downtown Portland. Opened up a shop that he named after himself, Amato's. They're still going strong. They're all over Maine. I think I've seen some locations outside of Maine as well, in other parts of New England. He created a sandwich he called the Italian. But it's not like Italian sandwiches you may find at Subway or some of these other national Subway or submarine sandwich hoagie shops. And so this is a quote-unquote real Italian, and that's how they call it, right? See, it says it's a real Italian. And it's a sandwich that's made on a soft, white, fluffy hoagie roll. American cheese, ham, onions, tomatoes, green pepper, Kalamata olives, some salt and pepper, and a little bit of oil. And at Amato's, it's actually a mixture of a little bit of vegetable oil, a little bit of olive oil. What we decided to do today was to make one of these sandwiches, but we're going to make it 50-50 here. We're going to use half barbecue pork. So this is barbecue pork like we made in our episode. We'll put a link to that one. And also we're going to try making it with some of this braised sauced beef that we made in our cold foods episode. And so slightly different take on the protein that's in the sandwich. And then we've got also cucumbers that have been done like we did in our cold food episode, the cucumber salad, pickles. Plus I've added a touch more white vinegar to these just to give them a little bit more of a bite. And so let me kind of show you how this sandwich is constructed. You can see, of course, I've got tomatoes, onions, olives, the green peppers, our meats, good old American cheese. The sandwich is traditionally made with American cheese, so it's kind of like when you go down to Philadelphia and get a cheesesteak, no one's getting fancy cheddar. It's usually whiz, as they say, right? So that's what makes the sandwich the sandwich. I've got a little salt and pepper here, and then this, instead of being the Amato's signature oil of olive oil and vegetable oil, this is a tiny bit of sesame oil with a little bit of vegetable oil. And again, that gives it a bit of our Down East. So one thing we do here in Maine and in many parts of New England is we don't cut these things sideways, we cut from the top. It's a bit of an oddity. I know when I first moved out here, I thought, what are they doing to their hot dog rolls and things? But that's how they make these sandwiches. So just kind of split this thing open. And usually we start with the cheese, and so we'll just kind of layer in the cheese. And then kind of sprinkle in the protein really, and then I'll add the meat. So I'm gonna go the chassis first. I have also done this where I have pan fried the chassis a little bit to warm it up, and that also is a really great thing to do. Adds a bit of warmth to the sandwich. So you can try that as well. This beef, though, of course, is really, as we said in the cold food episode, best served cold. So I wouldn't do it to the beef because this beef really does taste good cold. So we'll layer in the meat. Let me add a little bit more chassis to this thing. And then the rest of the ingredients just kind of get sprinkled in here. So a little bit of onion, and then usually the tomatoes come in along with the green peppers. And these sandwiches are definitely ones that when you try and eat it, they tend to fall apart. And that's just the way an Italian is. You can see this sandwich is not something that you're going to eat without a couple napkins. But I think it's also what kind of makes them taste so good. So here we go. And then if you ever go to an Amato's and you say, I'd like a real ham Italian, they will still ask you with all the veggies, and then you say yes, and then they say salt and pepper, yes, oil, yes. So that's, here we go. So this is a salt and pepper mix. So I'm just going to sprinkle some salt and pepper over this thing. And then, as I said, we've got a bit of the oil. Just give it a little bit, I think. There we go. That's the oil. And this is our Down East, Far East Italian sandwich, but it's not really Italian anymore. And in fact, reading up on the original Italian, what I found was that, of course, Giovanni's not around to ask him, but the thinking is that he didn't name the sandwich an Italian sandwich because these ingredients were necessarily specifically Italian, which is why it's a little bit different. It doesn't have like capicola and some Italian salamis and things, just kind of straight ham. But because the workers in downtown Portland, the dock workers who were buying this, were mostly of Italian descent, as was he, and so he was selling it to his local community, the Italians, and so he named it in their honor. And so I guess we could call this the real Chinese. I don't know. But anyway, there we go. If you got a better name for it, leave it in the comments. Let us know. I'm going to cut this thing in half and we'll split that for lunch. I think Chris and I have too much food to eat here. There you go. A real Chinese, I guess if you call it. This is probably the most un-Chinese sandwich you've ever seen, but it's got some great Chinese meats in there. Oh, I almost forgot. They're sitting right here. The pickles, I'm just going to layer these things right on top. Usually the pickles would go under the olives and the green peppers. But anyway, here we go. Get some pickles in here. Sitting right here in front of me. There we go. Nice and messy, the way you like it.
To my kitchen.
Come on down to my kitchen.
Won't you come into my kitchen?
Come into my kitchen.
Come on down to my kitchen.
Come